Well, hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You are listening to episode number 226. I'm Victoria Gallagher, the Law of Attraction hypnotist and number one bestselling author of Practical Law of Attraction. Align yourself with the manifesting conditions and successfully attract your desires. I'm also the founder of HipTalk.com and HypnoCloud apps, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download that app from the app stores today. And today I have a very special guest with me, Suzanne Adams. As a seasoned speaker who has taken the mic on NBC, the CW, and Fox, as well as on stages ranging from Tedx, Hay House, the American Heart Association, LuluLemon, and many more, Suzanne Adams has created a powerful ripple of inspiration and positivity. In addition to being a sought after speaker, Suzanne is a best selling author, transformational mentor, and strategist. Quantum Vibes, Suzanne's latest book, inspired by her groundbreaking TEDx talk that has garnered over 2 million views, is a bright and inspiring book that demonstrates how the confluence of the law of attraction, spirituality, and science can work brilliantly in your favor to deliver you the contentment and success that you've long desired. Suzanne is a thought leader in the field of personal development, energetics, and leadership, and is on a mission to help you reach your highest potential and attract your dreams. And she can be found at Suzanne Adams Inc., both on her website and Instagram and across all the social medias. And so today, Suzanne is going to be sharing some of her insights on making your dreams a reality through quantum physics. This is one of my favorite topics. So, welcome to the show, Suzanne.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and excited for this conversation.
I am too. And I just love the energy that you're already bringing to this podcast with this beautiful beach scene behind you. Some of you might be not be able to see it, but come on over to my YouTube channel and you'll be able to see this beautiful scene that Suzanne is sitting in front of. And so tell us a little bit about like kind of how your journey started. Let's just start there.
Yeah, so I'll start with an interesting because I get asked this question a lot, so I'm going to answer it a little differently here, just to spice things up a little bit. So in 2011, I went on a girls trip to Sedona, Arizona, and on that trip, this was before I was into spirituality, before I was really aware, before my consciousness was open, and I just saw beauty, and a girlfriend had asked me to go, and I was like, yes. I was always up for adventure, still am. I was like, all right, let's go, let's do it. And it was one of those things where it was like when in Rome type of thing. Like I was like, if I'm going to go to Sedona, I'm going to go to Sedona. And so we booked like tarot card readings. We did all these amazing spa treatments. I had a friend recommend that I see a shamanic astrologer. I didn't know what any of that was, but I was like, I'm in. And I remember going, and on the way to see the shamanic astrologer, it was a little bit off the beaten path. Like you drive through Sedona. And for those of you that have been to Sedona, you know the magic, you know how beautiful it is. And if you haven't been, it's very picturesque. It's these beautiful red rocks, and you just feel like you're in a movie set. And you really are surrounded by healing nature. And I was driving through the town, just admiring the vistas. And I get kind of around, and I'm going like further and further away. And I'm like, this is back in the days we had a Garmin, and it was before I had it on my phone, So I'm like, is this thing right? Looking like, is this sending me the wrong way? And I keep going around and around, and I eventually get up. The views keep getting more stunning. I'm just getting further away from civilization. And get to the address, and it's this rickety house that like literally looks like it could fall over like with a big gust of wind. But then the directions tell me to go around to the back. So I go around to this back where there's not a view. It's like a gravel parking lot, and there's bars on the window. And I'm literally like, do I want to keep going with this, or do I want to go back to that luxury spa that I was at that
Like
was
a
very
red pill, blue
comfortable?
pill
Yes, exactly. I was like, and everything in my body was like, go. So this man comes to the door, he opens the door, he invites me in. It was very interesting on the inside as well. And I sit down at this rickety card table on a chair that I literally think I'm going to break, that I sit down on. And this man he has a few crystals on the table. There's like a mattress on the floor to the left. To the right, there's just books, like from floor to ceiling, like thousands of books. And he grabs my hand and he opens it with a prayer. And when he opened it with a prayer, it really, something happened in my body, and my body just listened. And then he goes on and he gives me this 2.5, 3 hour reading based on my birth chart, he starts telling me all of these things. And I'm like, who is this man? And he knows an awful lot about me for not knowing me. Right. And he ends up telling me that I'm going to be this renowned worldwide spiritual teacher and leader and mentor. And I literally spit my green juice in his face. I'm like, not literally, almost literally. I was like taking a sip and I was like, what? And there was something that he said, and I'm sure you can resonate, Victoria, and everyone and listening can probably resonate. When someone says something and it just lands, like it just resonates, even though it doesn't make sense. And that was like this. I was like, that makes no sense, but it resonated. So that was in 2011. And, that was a really, really powerful prophecy that he planted in my heart and in my body, even though it was laughable, like it made no sense. 2012, I was at another spa. I always kind of joke and I say spirit got to me through through luxury spas, because I love being pampered and I love those experiences. And I was at another spa with another friend, again, still before my awakening. And I ended up getting this chakra massage. I did not know what chakras were at the time, but I got this chakra massage because I called the spa. I said, what's the most fabulous treatment? And they were like, the chakra massage. And I was like, sign me up. So, I go and I did the chakra massage, and it's this woman, and we're in Texas at this point. And she starts telling me very similar things that this man told me. And I'm like, what the heck? So now it's the second time I'm hearing it. It's resonating, but it's confusing me this time. And, that was that. About a year later, in 2013, I had a moment that changed my life forever. And I call this a quantum moment. My book, Quantum Vibes, I write about what a quantum moment is. And it's a moment where everything changes. It's a line in the sand where you can't go back. It's like something you didn't know before. And I had gotten to this space and place where things in my life weren't working out the way that they wanted. I had wanted them to. I was searching for feelings and I wasn't finding them. There were all of these feelings bubbling up inside of my body that I didn't want to feel. It was like, oh, that's uncomfortable. Push it down. It's like a lot of emotions, a lot of things, a lot of density. I didn't want to feel it. And so what I would do is I would wait till 5 o'clock every single day, and I would have a glass of wine to quote unquote take the edge off, because that felt normal to me. It didn't even feel like I was doing anything wrong. It was just like, I'm going to take the edge off. And I did that for a couple of months, and it never turned into addiction or anything like that. It was a numbing mechanism for me. We can numb through Netflix, hours of Netflix. We can numb through scrolling on social media for hours. We can numb through food. We can numb through alcohol, substances, shopping addictions. There's a lot of different ways to numb. Being busy or you're not still enough to hear yourself. I did that for years as well. And after a few months of this, drinking every single day, I started to feel worse. And the feelings inside of me started getting louder and more uncomfortable. And there was this one day where I was sitting on the sofa staring at the clock, 4:59, 4:59, 4:59, 4:59. The clock never changed. It was legitimately, I believe it was divine intervention, and that clock sat at 4:59 for as long as it needed to until I listened. And I fell to my knees on the floor, and tears started streaming down my face. And all of a sudden, I was able to hear something inside of me that I had not before been able to hear. And it was this voice that was telling me, like, girl, there is so much more to life than what you're experiencing. There is so much more to life. You haven't even begun to touch the surface. This is not what you're here to do. What are you doing? And I let myself feel, and I let myself sob. And I looked up and I said a prayer, and I said, if I'm going to find my way out of this, I need help. And I need you to show me the way. Excuse me. And in that moment, I let myself feel for the first time, really, ever just really feel. And I got up, and instead of going in the kitchen and having the glass of wine, I got out my computer and I started searching for personal development, for happiness, for tools, for ways to be happy, for podcasts, for retreats. I went back to that healer that had told me
the
about
original one in Sedona.
Well, I had the reading from him. It was recorded. So I pulled that out. I started listening again. It was 3 hours. I started listening again. And this time it was landing. This time I was getting it. I called the healer that I had met in Texas, and I was ready to get on a plane to go see her. And she giggled. She said, honey, it's energy. We can do this over the phone. And I started finding mentors. I started finding coaches. I started going on retreats. I started listening to every podcast I can listen to, every book that resonated. It was like I couldn't get enough of it. All of a sudden, the feeling that I had been searching for, I was getting through just fueling my heart, fueling my soul, processing my emotions, letting myself feel, letting myself heal, and everything started to change. And so in that time, even though it was a rock bottom for me, it was a beautiful quantum moment. And really in 2011, when I saw that shamanic astrologer, it was a quantum moment. And in essence, it just didn't change. It didn't activate until 2013. But the 2000 moment, I don't think would have happened without, the other things that had happened. And so it's like everything is on purpose, even when we don't understand it. And then from that moment on, I never looked back. I've been on the journey of growth and evolution. I've been on the journey of soul alignment, of heart connection, of understanding energy, how to plug into it. Hasn't always been easy. There's been ups and downs. I'm still on the journey. I believe as long as we're breathing, we're growing. And here we are in this wild world, ready to just have a lot of fun in this transition to where we're all moving as a species and really plugging into our power.
What a beautiful story. And I love how it just started so innocently, just going on this trip to beautiful Sedona, which is, I can relate, it's like 90 minutes away. And every time I go there, I'm all like, I want to get a little tarot reading. It's like, do what you do when when in Rome, but when in Sedona. And so I love the story. It's like, I can just relate in so many ways. But so you had this quantum moment, you can never go back. And so you started, how did that like transfer into starting to help other people with, with what you were now attuned to within your own soul?
So, just I think like anyone on the personal development journey, I was a student first, right? Diving in like in 2014, I think I attended like 10 or 11 retreats. I mean, maybe even more. It was a lot. And eventually I realized like I have an arsenal of tools and knowledge now that I need to be sharing. And it was like, as I was praying for purpose and as I was praying to be shown, I realized I was supposed to be teaching as well. And so, eventually I stepped away from my corporate job. I started coaching. I started leading retreats in 2015. I hosted my first retreat in Sedona, Arizona. Actually,
Ooh,
yeah, it was
full
cool.
circle.
It was. I hosted retreats there for 5 or 6 years. I'm thinking I'm going to do another one early next year as well. So I'm excited about that. And I wrote my first book. I launched my first book very early on. I manifested a phone call from Hay House where they had called me and invited me to be on a speakers panel with Deepak Chopra, Gabby Bernstein, and 26 New York Times
Mm.
bestselling authors, and me right out of the gates. That's when I was like, this really works. This manifestation is working. And I refined and have grown and evolved my process. I'm still doing that, and I continued to host retreats over the years. They started selling out around 2016, 2017, 2018. Mind Valley invited me to speak. I went to Bali, spoke for Mind Valley. 2019, I stood on the red circle, delivered my Tedx Talk, which has now actually reached over 2.6 million people. It's so exciting. It's a 16-minute conversation to create a mainstream conversation, a 60-minute talk to create a mainstream conversation around frequency and energy, and how this is really very basic. And quantum physics is something that, when you can really put it in layman terms, it's something we can all plug into and all use to create our energy. I was traveling, speaking so much in 2019. 2020 happened, and to be honest, it was a welcome break for me, because I was on the go, and so it felt kind of nice just to, like, it was scary,
Mhm.
but it felt kind of nice to create some space. In that spaciousness, I launched my book, Girl Awaken, and started building a business that looked a little different in the new world that we have today. And here we are. I'm so excited. I speak for corporations. I have execs and VPs that are clients. I have heart-centered entrepreneurs that are clients. I work with doctors, lawyers, coaches, mentors, healers. I do business development. I train on energetics, manifestation, self-love, on really how to pull in your radiance. There's so many topics that I like to cover. And what I learned, I teach. And as I'm still learning, I'm still teaching. I'm still a student. I still love to learn. I still love to attend retreats. And I believe that our energy is our most prized possession, our most valuable superpower. And most of us don't know how to use it. My intention with my book, Quantum Vibes, is to give you basic tools that you can implement, that you can utilize, and exercises in a really fun, inspirational way, so that we can all begin to create big, wild dreams.
Ooh, I mean, you are speaking my language. I know you're speaking the language of all the, soul, heart-centered, entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast. And so I just want to, see if you might give us, just a little bit of, the tools, just a little taste of what people can expect when they they go and get your new book, which I'm going to be on the first of the list to go and get that, because it just absolutely sounds amazing. What you have accomplished is like the dream for all of us, I mean, to stand on that red circle, to do the, TEDx talks, to get that call from Hay House. Many, people out there I know want to also write their first book, or their fifth book for that matter, and and make their dreams a reality, and through this quantum physics. And that the quantum physics gets lost, it gets the word gets tossed around a lot, but a lot of people, I think, would really love to kind of understand a little bit about how can we use the tools of quantum physics, to manifest things in our lives. That to me is like kind of where the magic, the woo woo part of, the law of attraction. And so I would love for you to, like, really kind of, I mean, you've verified that this stuff actually really works in your own life. So show us behind the scenes a little bit.
Yes, I'd love to. And, you know, so much of what you said just landed. And I want to speak to that. I will absolutely give you a taste of a teaser of the quantum vibes. And you mentioned, you know, that so many people have the desire to speak and to stand on the red circle and to deliver books. And I just want to say that when we run in circles like this, we feel like sometimes the market is saturated. And I want to say that it's not. And every person, when you feel a calling to speak your soul, and when you feel a calling to stand on the red circle, and you feel a calling to deliver your book, your magic, your light, your everything you have, your story, your transformation, it is needed now more than ever. And I have full body chills as I'm saying this. And, you know, this is a lot of things that I help people to do. I had a client actually that just booked her first TEDx. She was in my Speak Your Soul program and booked her TEDx at hyper speed. And I've helped clients launch best-selling books. And so I'm not able only to do these for me, it's for my clients too. And it's not just for me, it's for you too. And the hope and the intention is quantum vibes can be the entry point to that. And so you mentioned quantum physics, and what I think is the most important piece of quantum physics is really super simple. It's understanding that we're all made of energy, that we break down into atoms and molecules. And what that means is we hold a frequency. And the power behind that is when we know we hold a frequency and we can bring our conscious awareness around to that, and we can tune into a frequency that serves us, tune into the frequency of openness, tune into the frequency of magic, tune into the frequency of dreams that don't make logical sense, because your dreams aren't going to make logical sense. And in fact, my path here made no logical sense. And if I followed what was logic and what society told me, and you know, that's what I was doing before that wasn't working. That's what caused me to go to the quantum moment, was using my mind, my logical mind, not overriding it. I made an Instagram post recently where I said, if you want a logical life, then rely on your logical mind. Big wild dreams aren't going to come from your logical mind. And so in quantum vibes, I take you through a process. I don't want to go through the 7 quantum tools because I want to save it for the book, but I'll give you a few of them. So one of them is really understanding that there's an infinite field of magic and possibility, the quantum field. And so what that means is there's this invisible field, and I'll share with you a story from the book. So when I was a little girl, I had a wild imagination, and I would have these vivid dreams, and I would dream of a button house. And what a button house means is you walk in, and it could be beautiful. It's whatever is beautiful to you. And you walk in, and there's little buttons, like buttons that you'd see on a sweater or jeans or, you know, on clothes. They're buttons all over the walls. It's like wallpaper buttons, and each button represents a dream. And so in my dream, I would walk over and I would hit a button, and then it'd be like, bloop, fairy tale princess dress. You know, I was young. So like a little fairy tale princess dress, or I could walk over and hit a button and like a unicorn would pop out, you know? And you could, if you think of this button house with all of your dreams, so maybe you walk over and you hit a button and it's like your Tedx Talk, and it like shows you on the red circle, or you hit a button and it's like your best-selling book is in your hand, or you hit a button and you're on a stage and there's thousands of people and you're making your impact, or you hit a button and there's like multiple millions, billions, quadrillions of dollars in your bank account, and you're doing amazing things with it. And you can feel the energy probably just from the conversation that we're having about how you open your mind and you open your energy when you start to realize like there's infinite possibility. There are no limits. We put the limits on ourselves when we try to limit with what we can conceive, because our minds can't actually conceive. It's our hearts and our energy. And when we can plug into where we want to go, magic happens. So there's an infinite field of limitless possibilities, and we get to push the button of what we desire anytime we want. The problem is most of us aren't dreaming big enough. Most of us are plugging into only what we can see. Most of us are plugging into only what we believe, or more importantly, what we feel worthy of. And so the work is that you understand the processes that you need to do to make yourself feel worthy, that you need to show up for yourself, that you need to really tap into that radiance that lives inside your heart. You want to get your rewire, reprogram your mind so that you do have the power to override your logical mind, so that you can experience expand your energy and know that it's okay if you feel upset or sad or these emotions. That's part of the human experience. It doesn't necessarily mean high vibes and low vibes. It means you have a big energy, which means you can hold it all. But the dominant frequency is where you want to go. It's your desires, it's your heart, it's your soul, it's that space of alignment. And there's so much magic in this, but most of us don't believe it's possible, and most of us don't plug into it.
Oh my God. I'm gobbling up everything you're saying. It's beautiful. And I really, really do believe that, we get in our own way based on our own perceived limitations. And, there's this thing out there called normal that, people, none of this stuff is normal, right? This is what we this is natural though. This is something that we can naturally all tap into, but so many people just because not everyone is living that way, they're looking out there and they're validating that it's, never going to happen for them because most people aren't living, they're not living their highest self. They're not living their highest dream. So how does a person learn to like really tap into that intuition and allow that intuition to, to change their life the way that it changed yours?
So first of all, I want to say that I'm on a mission to change what is normal, to
Mhm,
change
mhm.
what is normal, to change what is a mainstream conversation, because you said it is natural, but it's not normal. That's beautifully said. So, what is natural should be normal, right? And we live in a world where that isn't the case. And so, I am on a mission to change that. And so, you just asked, how could someone open up their intuition in a way where it would change their life the way it would change mine? And so, the answer to that is you learn, you
Mhm.
dive in. I've meditated every single day since 2014 because I believe it's really cleaned your channels. It helps you connect to your higher power. It does help you to override your logical mind. You surround yourself with people that believe in you. You surround yourself with people that are giving you evidence. I have so many clients that come to me and they're not dreaming big enough, and I can see their soul and I say, that's not what your soul wants. You tell me the truth. And this is the
I
same
love
from
that you
like,
tell me the truth.
yeah, it's the same from like, the clients that have companies with $1 billion of assets to clients that are just trying to get into multiple six figures in their business. It's the same. And so, what's interesting, when I was really opening up my intuition and when I was really thinking like, okay, what's my purpose? What's the story here? I received a vision in 2014, and I had been praying for purpose, and I thought like I was going to meditate, and then it would be like a little memo is like bloop, 8 steps ABC. Here you go. 1, 2, 3. There's your purpose. Obviously that wasn't quite how it happened. And I remember people ask me all the time, like, how can I find my purpose, or how can I expand on my purpose? Because maybe you found your purpose, but now it's like kind of lost, it's lackluster, it's like the next level, because we're always being called to the next level. And so I was praying. I was like, I want to be shown. I want to be shown. I was sitting in meditation. I was receiving, and nothing was coming. But then one day I was out for a jog, and I'll never forget. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia. It was about 70-ish degrees, which in Atlanta is cool. If you're here in Laguna Beach, it's warm. Depends where you are. But it was a cool like breeze. And I was running, and all of a sudden my feet, boom, boom, like hit the ground. And this vision came into my whole body. And it was like, you're going to write a book. And you're going to write a book that's going to parallel the awakening that's happening in the world at the time. And it's going to be based on your story and your travels and your adventure and your own awakening. And it's going to activate people's consciousness in a fun and magical way. And it's going to teach people that are awake and aware, and it's going to open up people that aren't. And it's going to be big. It's going to be like a Twilight or like a Hunger Games, but for the spiritual world. And that vision, Victoria, was so crystal clear in my body. And while that was only one facet of my purpose, it was an intuitive download that was given to me. Many people would have sat on that, would have not moved on that. It didn't make logical sense. I had no
Mhm.
literary background. I didn't have any audience. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew with my every being, I was meant to write that book. And so I wrote the first version of that book, which was called Musings of an Earth Angel. And then, as I shared earlier, that was what led me to be on the Hay House, which was what led to other opportunities, which is what led to one thing to the next. My intuition told me along the way, pull that book off. It needs to be reimagined. So I did. I reimagined it into Girl Awakened, which, as I said earlier, I launched in 2020. If you want to open your intuition in a fun and magical way, Girl Awakened will do that. And what's even more exciting is an investor dropped in a couple weeks ago, and we are going to make a movie. Girl Awakened is going to be a movie. So it will
Oh
be
my
on
goodness.
screen. Yeah, so it's so exciting. And we are going to make this conversation more normal because it is natural, and we all have gifts. It's just like playing the piano. Some people can walk in the room and they sit down at the piano and they just naturally can play by ear. Some people walk in and they play, they need a few lessons, but then they get it pretty easily. Some people can take lessons for 5 years and before they get it. So we all have this availability. It's like, what do you want to use your gifts for? Some people are going to be more natural with it. And then if you think about it, if you can get that magical, mystical piece, then you've got to master your mind, which is where quantum vibes come in. And so quantum vibes,
beautiful. Hold
isn't
that
it
up
beautiful?
Again. Oh my goodness. Gorgeous.
It's got some sacred geometry on it. And it is really meant to bite-sized nuggets that you can understand, that are digestible, that mainstream can understand, because a lot of the personal development books, or a lot of the energetics books on energetics, are a little bit hard to digest, or people don't understand it. So the intention with this book is that your average 16-year-old girl or boy could get it and understand it. And so it's mastering that, your mind, because if you have your intuition, but you don't understand how the subconscious mind works, or you don't understand how to override your logical mind, it's not going to matter. And that's where many people are. They come to me all the time and they're like, I've had this vision, or I have these dreams, and it was 15 years ago, and they've sat on it and they haven't done anything about it. And so I know someone's listening to this and they're like, that's me. So for everyone that has the vision, the desire to write a book, to share your message, get out there, go do it. The world needs your light more now than it ever has. And we have so much, social media. I know it can be triggering to people. It is such a gift, though. It is a gift. And I've had to heal my own relationship with social media and really get excited about connecting with people. And so now I love it. I love social media. I love connecting with people on Instagram and Facebook, because it's a tool that we can use to really spread this message, and that we can use to connect with each other, when we can remember that there's actual humans on the other side of the screen, and it's not, their heartbeats there. And so I just want to say, if you want to use your intuition, that is going to be something that will guide you. It will never disappoint you. And you come into your most ultimate power when you align your personality with your soul, and your soul is your intuition.
Oh, what a beautiful message. And you really have some incredible gifts to share. But the thing is that we all have incredible gifts to share, and you're helping people to align with that and come to that realization. And so that in and of itself is a beautiful gift. And so I'm super excited to dive in and read both of your books now. And so before I get to your free gift that you're going to share with our audience, I just want to ask you, what would you say your secret manifesting formula is? And like, how do you allow that, to work, for you? And if you wouldn't mind just sharing that with our audience.
Yeah. So I don't think there is a secret. I think it's about trusting your heart and saying yes when you're scared. Saying, I have I'm hosting this weekend a Speak Your Soul VIP retreat here in Laguna Beach. And a client that booked in, she said, I want to do this, but I'm scared. And I said, what does your gut say? She said, my gut says go all in. And I said, that's the best kind of scared. It's like, you want to do it, but you feel scared. So I don't think there's a secret, except for the secret is follow your heart. I have a manifesting formula program. I have a manifesting actually, when you buy Quantum Vibes, when you pre-order it or on pre-sale or get it the week of the launch, you get a whole training that I did on my manifesting formula. It's like a 4-hour training where I can go into a little bit more depth. I think what's helped me the most is having a deep knowing. Like the movie is a perfect example. I stood on stages since I started speaking in 2015, and I said, this book will be a movie one day. One day you will see me walking the red carpet. It will be a series. It will be a movie. It will be on the big screen. I know it with every being in my body. I had no proof. I said it I said it all the time. There are thousands of people that have heard me. Like people, when I started announcing, like, y'all, this is happening, they're like, what? Like, I knew it would. Everyone has, I've stood in retreats and I've said, one day I'm going to be walking the red carpet. This book is going to be a movie. It is a deep knowing that I've plugged into no matter what, without needing any logical sense, plugging in, plugging in, plugging in, letting go of the timing, plugging in. I mean, that's a big one, for timing. In the beginning, I got a little annoyed because I was like, why isn't this happening yet? Why isn't this happening yet? Why isn't this happening yet? And then I realized, like, that's not going to serve me and that's not going to work. And so when we can start really having an unwavering intention and unwavering knowing, plugging into that. Another piece is embodiment. Who are you being? What are the thoughts that you're thinking? What's the energy that you're letting in? And this is why I've loved hosting retreats and I love hosting programs, even the digital programs, like, because in this conversation, most likely you can agree that you're getting a big power of embodiment, of inspiration. And, some of you are hearing this and it's activating something within inside of you. Trust that. If you're feeling it from me, come in my world. If you're feeling, when you feel that from someone else, come in their world, because what it does is like, it's contagious and it activates something in you where you're able to hold a higher frequency. And that is one of my gifts, is I'm able to move energy and plug energy into people's bodies. It's really aligned with their heart and their soul. And I never even talked about this gift until recently, but people would feel it and it translated. Some of my highest level clients, they find me on the internet and they come to me and they say, I want to hire you. I'm not even doing anything. They're just like, I want to hire you. And I'm like, awesome. So it's like, that's the magic.
That's how you know you're on the right path. People just, I mean, you're not even like putting yourself out there as somebody, to hire, but they want to, they want to work with you because they want more of what you have. And I think that's beautiful. And I just want to also, kind of go back to what you said about, the timing, because I think that's where so many people get stuck and caught up in this timing. And what kind of came through for me when you were saying that is like, when you're asking that question of like, when is it going to happen? It's almost like you're making this moment incorrect or wrong. This moment, I mean, it's not wrong. It's exactly where you are meant to be, and so questioning this, when it's like it's making it wrong. And and it's pushing it actually further away, because there's anxiety in that question, there's stress in that question, there's disappointment and frustration in that question. And so it's about that embodiment, like you said. It's about being, you don't have to wait. You can be there now, and that's because it's that energetic frequency and you're aligning with that energetic frequency, and it just makes so much sense. And I know there's so much more to this, but we're going to leave that for our listeners to find out more by going and getting the free gift. And I went to your free gift page. You're offering some very generous gifts here. And so if you go to SuzanneAdamsInc.com/free gift, and that'll all be in the show notes, you'll be able to just go and get the free gifts, get the book Quantum Vibes, which is coming out October 11th, and that's available
Yes.
right now for pre-order. And I'm gonna pre-order mine because this is speaking my language so much. And I just want to also put it out there. I stopped interviewing a lot of guests, and I pretty much only, do my own show now. And so to be on my show, you really kind of have to like really, really, really be speaking my language. And so, it's just really been an honor to have you, and I just really felt your energy, and I was really excited to have you, and you definitely gave me everything that I was hoping for my listeners. It's been an inspiration. You're so inspiring, and so I'm really excited for you and your movie and to see what comes next. And so, is there anything else that I missed or anything else you want to share with our listeners before we close out the show today?
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been so special. And the last thing, I guess there is one thing, is just follow your heart, keep going, plug into your desires, know that you can create anything. There are going to be days that are hard, and that's when you need the tools and the support and the community. Keep going, plugging in no matter what will get you there every single time. Thank you so much for this conversation. I'm so excited for everyone that is going to read my book, Quantum Vibes or Girl Awaken. Thank you for being in my world. Come say hi. Tag me on Instagram if you're reading. I'd love to share it out. And Victoria, thank you for this beautiful conversation. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Same here. Thank you so much. You are amazing, and maybe our vibes will run into each other in Sedona one of these days. So
That
thank you
sounds
so much.
amazing. Yes.
All right.